Hello and welcome to a new video. This video will be about how crazy Brokeback Mountain Bernie, how Adderall Bernie, how sleepy, creepy Bernie. No, okay, let's get to the point. I'm going to explain how Bernie Sanders will win Iowa and lose the nomination to sleepy, creepy Joe Biden. Now let me explain to you exactly how this turns out. And by that, I would say that Bernie, while he is surging in Iowa by a couple points, and to be more exact, he's surging by 3.6% in front of Biden, there is about a 4% margin of error with the polls. So theoretically speaking, Biden could edge out a win. But let's not count on that. Now, a decisive win in Iowa by maybe 3 to 5 points would help Sanders gain millions of dollars on the spot and help him get over a 10-point lead in New Hampshire with the given momentum. Now, the margin that he wins Iowa is absolutely crucial, as in he went on to win Iowa by 1/10 of 1%, like how he likes to say in his speeches. The top 1/10 of 1% of Iowans voted over Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and he won. And then he went on to win New Hampshire Big League. But since there's so many other whites running in such a white state like New Hampshire, it's going to be less than 20% of a margin, but I do expect him to win over 10%. It is absolutely crucial that he does garner enough support in Iowa to get a clear victory over Biden and Buttigieg and Warren so that he can keep that momentum, roll that into Nevada, where he's very competitive with Biden. Now, if he gets enough Latino endorsements and he does it well enough for the Latinos and, the blacks don't turn out, we are going to have a 3-win streak for the early states by Bernard Sanders. And if Bernie is to hold fiery rallies in Reno and Las Vegas and Henderson and not do so bad in the suburbs when compared to Joe Biden, this could very much help him. Also, there's the factor, though, that when we see potential dropouts in the race, John Delaney dropped out, and that's a travesty. It really mattered that he dropped out. Psych. No, look. He was a non-factor. But let's get this out of the way. After Iowa, what happens is that a lot of the race contestants, drop out. So theoretically speaking, we are going to have a win for Sanders in my prediction. Personally speaking, I think that we could see maybe Gabbard or Steyer or somebody else drop out. Klobuchar could drop out too and endorse Biden. And so we have that problem. And also there's the factor of Warren staying in the race. This is a huge problem for Bernie. If you were to theoretically add Warren and Sanders voters, he would easily trump Biden, nationally speaking. But, alas, that does not seem to be happening, as Warren has enough money from her corrupt 2018 Senate campaign and big mega PAC corporation donations to keep her nasty campaign running on negativity against Sanders. Why? Because Sanders is consolidating the left that Warren had so wanted to take away from him early on in the election. This ostensibly means that Bernie needs to either win by the skin of his teeth in Nevada, in Iowa, and lose within a good enough margin in South Carolina to keep on running in other states to be competitive with Biden. Now, the main thing that is going for Bernie, other than the bad news I've already said about Warren not dropping out soon, it is that Michael Bloomberg, after South Carolina, in Super Tuesday, has spent hundreds of millions of his own billions of dollars to artificially prop up his campaign. He has done so well that he has gotten his national RCP polling average over a point ahead of Buttigieg as of the recording in January 31st, which is absolutely incredible. This guy would not poll more than 4% So over half of his support is completely just because of the ads that he keeps on rolling and rolling and rolling over. And he puts them in almost every state. He is opening like 20 offices, and staffers are being employed in Florida, where not a single person in the Warren campaign is in Florida necessarily. Why? Because they're planning for 4-state strategy, and the momentum therein of those 4 states being winning by whoever does win those. Bloomberg is planning ahead, and as a moderate Democrat, so-called, he will detract from Biden. What does this mean? It means that states that, okay, if we were to presume that Hillary is almost exactly like Biden in what they appeal to, which is the status quo neoliberals, the business Democrats, then we're going to see states like Michigan, which just barely tilted Hillary, go 10% ahead for Sanders. Why? Because Sanders, instead of winning barely, he's going to win by a good margin. Why? Because with millions of dollars invested by Michael Bloomberg in a war chest that will never fail, he will be able to usurp Biden of several wins inadvertently, because he had said that he's going to run a campaign, and he's not planning to run third party, by the way, to take away from the progressives, when in fact he's the one that's helping the most. So states that would tilt Biden or Hillary, in my case, will go to Sanders. This is huge. Which means that instead of a majority that Biden could honestly win against Bernie, he's going to win a plurality, probably, which is no good. That's not a good mandate to have for the primary. And he's going to need the superdelegates to bail him out, like they did Hillary to an extent. 70% of superdelegates will go to Biden, presumably, which will screw Bernie severely, like by 400 delegate votes. So Austin's really though, this is going to be a massacre of Sanders. Anybody that thinks that Bernie's surging in the polls, you're right, and it won't matter in the end. Especially when you have Snake Warren, when you have Pocahontas nibbling at the heels of Sanders. And what does Sanders do in response? Nothing. He's not even passive-aggressive. If I were Sanders, I would try to kill Warren's campaign ASAP so I could use their support to get a leg up on Biden and kill his front-runner status for good. But no, he does not have the balls. Whether that be because he's trying to get a VP out of Warren or because he's getting an endorsement from Warren, I don't know. But what I do know is that I believe that he would get neither if he asked Warren. Why? Because Warren already sees Bernie as a future deadweight politically, even if he were to be elected president. And to the Bernie bros that may be listening, Bernie would have to turn out about twice as many people from that consolidated base that he has in order to properly beat Trump. That won't happen. When has that ever happened before? And let me remind you, a convincing victory that you guys think is going to happen would be like, for example, a 2008 almost landslide by Obama. Now, let me tell you something, guys. Obama had the centrist and progressive vote and the independent vote, basically, for him. But do you honestly think that Sanders will win the center against Trump? No, you're ridiculous. Now, could he get the vast majority of Democrats to vote for him? Of course. But will he get the turnout he wants? No. Will he get the black turnout he needs in Michigan? No. Will he get it in Pennsylvania? He will not. The Green New Deal that he's proposing ostensibly will kill thousands of jobs that are to be made up by the federal government that throughout history has set precedents to not trust it with employment programs when you see ostensibly under Franklin Delano Roosevelt that for every 30 programs he made, he probably killed like 10 of them because they didn't work. Because the government is very hit or miss. And, you'd be remiss to not know that when you get a promise from the government, there's a very good chance they will not fulfill it properly, or on time, or on budget. Sanders' policies are not very popular. And by that, I mean Medicare for all. 70% of Americans approve it. Okay, you pull that statistic. All right. Now, what if we added 70% approve, but let's ask you, you want Medicare for all with a 10% income tax increase on everybody, which would be to make it deficit neutral, and I bet you it'd be way under 50% approval. So Bernie's already lying about not increasing taxes for the middle class, basically. Or if he does admit to raising them, he's being facetious about it, which is what Trump does all the time, right? Okay, so my prediction for Iowa is that Bernie wins, I think, about 24% of the vote, which is going to be the biggest amount that anybody will have, I believe, or maybe 26. Biden could probably get like 21, 22. Buttigieg could get like 17, 18. Warren, I could see getting 16. Klobuchar could get 11. Yang could get like 4.5, 5, 6. Steyer can get 3. Gabbard could get screwed anyway, and Bloomberg is a non-factor. So my point is, anything that happens, sorry to break it to you guys, Bernie bros, but you will not get Bernie elected, regardless of what you do. And whatever momentum he may have, it will not get him the win in South Carolina that has more delegates than all the other states prior, that Sanders does have a great chance at winning, right? That is it. The superdelegates will screw you. The Democratic Party is not going to work. You guys, honestly, instead of voting for Biden, which would be smarter, to be completely honest, you should go Bernie or bust, like you did last time, and then hand the election to Donald Trump. 10% of Bernie bros, which was about 20% of the electorate in general, 2% of the popular vote went towards Trump. That probably won him the election, right? If it weren't for Bernie, Hillary would probably have almost the majority of the votes, which would almost guaranteed her the election in crucial states like Pennsylvania and Michigan. But thank you to you guys in the Bernie camp that spoiled the election. Thanks, you are the libertarians of the Republican Party. Why? Because you're spoiling the election because you're just very extremist. Okay? So are you guys going to rebel in the streets, or are you too scared? I mean, simply being honest. Look, Bernie, if he has any chance to win, he needs to kill Warren off politically, kill her campaign. Then he's going to have to start being negative towards Biden and knock him down a peg, grow some damn balls, and fight the good fight. And then he can go and lose with dignity. Go down like a fighter, like he is supposed to be. Not a coward. Not a man that cowers from an old lady when confronted just to save face. Like a simp. Okay? Thank you guys for watching. And I'm out of here.